I have 2 sheets of paper. This one is for a group things, 2 group things, and then the next sheet of paper I'll hand out is for an individual thing. So, first thing we're going to do is circle up, and we are going to do a choral reading of the prologue. Now, we are all theater people. We know what a choral reading is. But perhaps you don't. Yes, what's your name?
My name's Colin.
Colin, nice to meet you. We all know each other.
Oh.
We were in a musical together.
Oh, right.
Who's your brother?
My brother's Owen.
Okay. Oh, really? Oh, is that maybe?
I don't know Owen Reynolds.
Okay, well,
or you. So, a choral reading is sounds exactly what it sounds like, where everybody is speaking in unison. It is especially good to do it as a prologue because, of course, we know that in theater the chorus is usually played by a group of people. And this activity, especially if you're doing it with 9th graders, really shows the importance of the following activity, but we will probably do it well. Your 9th graders generally don't do this. And that's kind of the point.
Do you want us to be 9th graders?
No, I am currently teaching a high school summer program, and 5 days a week is enough for me. So the purpose of this, of course, is to be one unified voice reading aloud this particular text. In this case, it is the prologue. And I will participate because there's so few of us. 3, 2, 1, go.
2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these 2 foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventures piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love, and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end not could remove, is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage. The which, if you with patient ears attend, what years shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend.
Okay, that was honestly a B+, because we, even being the adults and theater people that we are, we did the thing that kids struggle with the most, well, besides the language, with Shakespeare, which is pausing at the end of the line and not the punctuation mark. And we did it even though we all should know better. So we are going to work on that with the next couple of activities, the first of which is the group activity, and the next 2 are individual. So this is the prince's speech right after the first brawl in opening Act 1, Scene 1 or 2 or whatever. So what we're going to do is we are going to go around in a circle, and you only read to the next punctuation mark.
To punctuation, not punctuation?
Any punctuation mark. Now, with 5 people, we're going to go around the circle several times. With a class full of, 15 to 20 kids, you will probably only get 1.5 ways around or whatever. So this really gets you to pay attention to punctuation, and then these next 2 activities get you to really pay attention to punctuation. So for no other reason than it's easy, I will start, and we'll go that way. Rebellious subjects.
Enemies to peace.
Profaners of his neighbor's stained steel.
Will they not hear?
What, ho?
You men.
You beasts.
That quench the fire of your pernicious rage with purple fountains issuing from your veins.
On pain of torture, from those bloody hands throw your mistempered weapons to the ground.
And hear the sentence of your moved prince.
3 civil brawls.
Bred of an airy word.
By thee, old Capulet.
And Montague.
Have thrice disturbed the quiet of our streets and made Verona's ancient citizens pass by their grave beseeming only.
To wield old partisans in hands as old.
Cankered with peace, to part your cankered hate.
If ever you disturb our streets again,
Your lives shall pay the forfeit of the peace.
For this time,
all the rest depart away. You,
Capulet,
Shall go along with me.
and
Montague, come you this afternoon to know our farther pleasure in this case.
to old Freetown,
Our common judgment place.
once more.
On pain of death, all men depart. So that gets them
I like
really
that.
paying attention
Yeah.
to the fact that, because, you know, kids obviously struggle with the Shakespearean language, but they also really struggle with the concept of iambic pentameter, and that it's, is this how people talk back then? No, dummy, this is not how people talk back then, but you have to, he's working with syllables and punctuation and things like that. So, Coral and I call this the punctuation read-around. I don't know if it maybe has a name. So you can keep those, you can put those away, whatever, but I have two more things, and we're gonna do the same activity with both of these, because the point is to compare and contrast them. So this is my wrinkly copy. This, on one side, is Friar Lawrence's speech when he's giving Juliet instructions for what to do with the vial of poison, and then the back is Juliet's like soliloquy about being nervous about taking the poison, and we're going to do the same activity with both things. So I will just quickly pass this out. And again, you can do this with anything. I do them with sonnets about Emmett Till and murder. So
I teach third grade, and I'm thinking about this just because they don't pay attention in normal stories.
So this one involves working with just yourself, and you need to move around. So we might need to spread out once I give instructions, mainly so we don't knock over that camera. Todd Green, here
Yes.
we are working with this document now, so you can, we're gonna do the same activity twice. So this activity gets them thinking about the minutia of punctuation, in that different punctuation marks have different purposes. So you are going, once we're ready, we're gonna spread out, and you're gonna start muttering this to yourself and walking. It's easier than it sounds, I swear. You kind of have to do some, you know, like looking down at periphery, but we'll start with Friar Lawrence, just because it comes first chronologically in the show. At end punctuation, so a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point, something that would grammatically end an actual sentence, you are going to turn 180 degrees and keep walking. At all other punctuation marks, comma, semicolon, dash, is there anything else no, that's probably it. You are going to turn a quarter. So you could be like this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And the point is, and this is really good, this is also really good for trying to teach writing style, because if you were doing this with like F. Scott Fitzgerald versus Ernest Hemingway, it would feel, but this gets you to really feel how punctuation is used, and it's really good for kinesthetic learners, especially like in ninth grade boys are like jumping out of their skin half the time. And this gets them to really understand how punctuation is used to get feeling across. So, 180 for grammatical full end punctuation, quarter turns either way, doesn't matter, right, left, whatever. For everything else, spread out.
No warmth, no breath. The rose
Like death. And in this borrowed life. Then,
as the manner that our country is.
And I will watch thy waking, and that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua. No constant toil
or a big space, or a
womanish
hallway, or
fear.
the stage at the top. The point of this is to pick two passages that are vastly different in their punctuation. I'm not even positive that I picked two because I just had to pick two, but this is a great way to. I mean, there were times where I almost ran into the wall. There were times where you were like quarter. And if you were to do this with any kind of text, it really, like Fitzgerald goes on and on and on, and Ernest Hemingway is like bum bum. Like, so it really teaches, and I think Juliet's speech in particular has a lot of, because she's about to fake her own death, right? And you would be nervous, and you would be like really struggling, and so she has a lot of 180-degree turns. So this just teaches how punctuation affects the emotion of something, regardless of what that is. So anyway, I call that the punctuation walk around. Don't know if that's really lame or not.
Sounds better with an Australian accent.
Walk around. And then of course,
There it is, it's a walkabout.
a walkabout. Of course, with students, you would then talk about like, well, how did that make you feel? And what section were you turning a lot? And did you notice this? And then when you do the second one, what did you notice differently? And you can have them write it down or whatever. I will say that I know this passage, but there's no comprehension happening in this moment, right? You cannot do this and comprehend at the same time. So you would have to, make sure that you did a comprehension exercise, especially if you're going to lose. And you do, I pick long pieces, but you wouldn't have to pick a long speech. There are short speeches that.
This would be great to pair with like a close reading.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're all those wriggly kids that need to move around.
Yeah.
Got something to do. Okay, so that's the last thing I have with this with documents. Two other activities. So one activity that I really like to do is a tableau, which you generally know what that means. If you don't know what a tableau is, it's a sitting statue of a group. And with Romeo and Juliet, I tend to do it, I like make up a scene. I think it's I make up what they go, there's a joint funeral for them, and I have the students be somebody who's at the funeral. How would you sit? How would you stand? And they can be anybody. And then the added part is you come around, you tell us, may I touch your shoulder? And then when I touch your shoulder, you have to tell me what you're thinking in character. So like Benvolio's best friend just died, right? And so he's maybe thinking like, oh, I miss my best friend, and blah, blah, blah. And it works on comprehension, it works on understanding character development. Obviously, a lot of characters are dead by the end of the actual play, because it's a tragedy, hello. And again, you can do this with anything. When I do it with the book, A Wreath for Emmett Till, which is about the murder of Emmett Till, I pretend we're at the court trial, where the people who murdered Emmett Till are on trial, and somebody pretends to be the stenographer, somebody is the prosecuting attorney, and I'm just thinking like, but you have to do this part to get them to like get in character and talk about it. And then I usually have them switched and do it a second time and be somebody radically different and blah, blah, blah. And then the last thing I do is, and now one of the things about dramatic inquiry pedagogy is that you, the teacher, have to participate, which makes some people uncomfortable, does not make me uncomfortable because I'm a theater person. So the next thing I do with Romeo and Juliet is I say that I'm the new prince of Verona, and I have decided it's 25 years later, and we as a community are going to erect a statue to honor Romeo and Juliet and their deaths and the tragedy. And then you get the kids in groups, depending on how many kids you have, and they have to make a human statue. Everybody has to be part of it, and they have to come up with an inscription to like put around the base. And so you give them like no more than 5 minutes. And in a group of 6 or 7 or 5 or however many, they have to like, come up with standing like this or doing whatever. And then I'm like, okay, competition time, and then you have all the groups go, and then you vote, you decide which one wins and blah, blah, blah. So those are what I do to get them just to get out of their desks to do stuff. Yeah. And I think it's, a lot of people, understandably, and I certainly do this as well, are like, well, it's a play, let's just have them act out a scene. And that's fine, But this is a way to learn the material rather than just perform material and to like really understand it. And there was one more thing I was gonna do that I just remembered that I forgot. So one of the things that's, and I was gonna do this with Antigone instead of Romeo and Juliet because you guys all know Antigone. Do you know Antigone?
Really from 9th grade, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. We should stay for the show tonight at 8:30. It's very hot.
It's not too bad.
It's so hot. At 8:30.
It's not too bad.
And no, at 8:30 we're not good.
We
So,
put jackets on.
one of the like little kids are really good at playing, right? If you tell a 3-year-old like be a cat instantly, like you know.
Yeah.
But older kids are self-conscious and like whatever. So one way to get them thinking with their bodies about even before they have any idea what Midsummer or Romeo and Juliet or anything at all, you could say to them, we're going to do Antigone just because I know it better. Okay, your dad died and you are a younger brother and you're about to inherit the throne. What does that look like?
And I,
Right now.
I could.
Yeah, so your dad is dead and you want to inherit the throne. Show me what that looks like. Your dad is also dead, you are his brother, you want to inherit the throne. What does that look like? Now, the two of you have made an agreement how you're going to handle it, and one of you betrays the other. What does that look like? That's a great question. Okay.
Could be either one.
Could be either one of them. That is half of the point. All right. So now, these two characters are dead. We start over.
Oh.
You are now the king, and you have told the city the punishment for one of those betraying brothers. What do you look like? That's roughly what I look like on stage. You are their sister, and you do not like the punishment that this king has decreed. What does that look like? You are her sister, and you don't like that she doesn't like the punishment. What does that look like? And then you go on, and you like, you know, you have 20 kids in class, and you don't use names, but you're getting at the themes, and you're showing that like a brother that wants the throne looks like this, and then a sister who's sad looks like this, and you can do that before you've even read a single page of it, especially with something like Romeo and Juliet, where it's so tropey and obvious and whatever. And yes, you could do that like before you open a page of